Today, we are counting down the top 5 American soldiers who terrified their enemies. These are warriors whose names alone struck fear into their opponents. And we begin at number 5. Richard Bong, born in 1920, is one of the most legendary fighter pilots America has ever produced. During World War II, he served in the U.S. Army Air Forces and quickly rose to become the nation's #1 flying ace. With nothing more than his Lockheed P-38 Lightning, Bong flew hundreds of missions and was officially credited with shooting down 40 Japanese aircraft, a number that stunned both allies and enemies alike. To Japanese pilots, the moment they saw a P-38 carrying Bong's markings, they no longer viewed it as a rival, but as a ghost in the sky. They believed that if they crossed paths with Bong, the chances of surviving were slim. His flying skills, deadly accuracy, and fearless aggression made him truly terrifying to the enemy. After achieving an unmatched list of victories, Bong was assigned to test America's new jet fighter, the Lockheed P-80 Shooting Star. Tragically, during a test flight in California near the end of the war, he was killed in an accident, leaving the U.S. military with a profound sense of loss. Richard Bong's legacy became so large that his name was later given to airports, bridges, theaters, veteran centers, and numerous streets both in the United States and abroad. In 1986, he was inducted into the National Aviation Hall of Fame, confirming his place as one of the greatest fighter pilots in American history. At number 4, we have a true legend of the United States Marine Corps, John Basilone. Born in 1916, Basilone had already spent 3 years serving in the U.S. Army in the Philippines before re-enlisting in the Marine Corps on June 3, 1940. After a period stationed at Guantanamo Bay, he was deployed to the Pacific Front and took part in the landing on Guadalcanal in 1942. During the pitch-black nights of the Guadalcanal campaign, the name Basilone spread like a warning to the Japanese. On October 24th to 25th, Japanese forces launched a massive assault to break through the American lines protecting Henderson Field. More than 3,000 enemy troops charged forward like a violent storm. At defensive position 13, the line was on the verge of collapse, until one man held his ground behind a machine gun, John Basilone. For 2 relentless days, he swapped out overheated barrels, hauled ammunition through gunfire, and even ran out of position to resupply his crew when the rounds ran dry. His determination kept the line intact, stopping hundreds of Japanese soldiers in their tracks. The battle at Guadalcanal earned Basilone the Medal of Honor, the highest military decoration of the United States. What makes his story extraordinary is that after returning to the Pacific at Iwo Jima, he performed yet another act of heroism and was posthumously awarded the Navy Cross. Throughout World War II, no other Marine received both of these honors. Americans gave him a proud title, the Pride of the Marines. Although he could have remained safely at home as a public symbol, Basilone volunteered to rejoin the fight. On February 19, 1945, at Iwo Jima, he was leading his men forward when he was struck by enemy fire and killed. But even in his final moments, he destroyed a Japanese defensive position, clearing the way for U.S. forces to advance inland. John Basilone was not just a brave Marine, he was living proof that one person can change the course of an entire battle, and his name remains forever etched in American history. At number 3 on the list is a true legend of the United States Marine Corps, a man whose name Marines still say every night before lights out, Louis Burwell Chesty Puller. Born in 1898, Puller joined the military at a time when the United States was dealing with uprisings in Central America. In Haiti and later Nicaragua, he plunged into brutal clashes with guerrilla forces during the Banana Wars. From his earliest days in uniform, Puller stood out for his fearlessness, always charging in first and leaving the battlefield last. His comrades called him the Lion of the Jungle. In 1942, Puller led his 1st Battalion, 7th Marines, into one of the bloodiest battlegrounds of World War II, Guadalcanal. Through nights filled with relentless Japanese gunfire, Puller stayed at the very front, shouting orders, pointing the way, and pulling his men together to hold the line. One night, Japanese troops attacked from all 4 directions. Many believed they wouldn't survive until dawn. But Puller roared, "Hold the line! They're not getting through!" And they didn't. His unit stood firm, repelling wave after wave of ferocious assaults. In 1950, Puller would face an even greater challenge. In the freezing minus 37 degrees Celsius hell of the Shaoxing Reservoir, 30,000 Marines were surrounded by 120,000 Chinese troops. Even in a situation that seemed hopeless, Puller remained calm and kept the entire force steady. He delivered his iconic line, "Perfect, they're on all sides. That means we can shoot in any direction and hit something." After 37 years of service, Puller retired in 1955 with the rank of Lieutenant General. He became the most decorated Marine in U.S. history, 5 Navy Crosses and 1 Distinguished Service Cross, 6 top-tier Valor Awards, second only to Eddie Rickenbacker. To this day, whenever Marines gather, they still shout, "Good night, Chesty, wherever you are." Chesty Puller, a symbol of courage, an iron warrior, and a legend whose name will never fade from the history of the United States Marine Corps. In the number 2 position is Alvin Cullum York. Born in 1887 in Tennessee, he grew up in a poor family. Once a hot-tempered young man who drank, fought, and caused trouble. But after converting to Christianity, he became deeply moral and strongly opposed to war. When the United States entered World War I, York even requested exemption from military service for religious reasons. But in the end, he went anyway, believing that if he had to fight, he would fight to protect the men beside him. On October 8, 1918, York's unit of the 82nd Division moved into the Argonne Forest, where German machine gun nests covered the hillsides. As the Americans charged forward, they were cut down almost immediately. More than half the company fell in just a few minutes. The commander ordered a group of 17 men, including York, to circle behind the machine guns and break the German line. But as soon as they approached, German troops counterattacked fiercely. Only York and a handful of others survived. Surrounded by dozens of German soldiers and multiple machine guns, York stayed calm, as if he were back home shooting targets in Tennessee. With his rifle, York picked off the German gunners one by one. When they rushed him at close range, he switched to his Colt 45, dropping each attacker with chilling precision. A German officer, terrified, finally shouted, "Stop shooting," and surrendered. The result? York and his small remaining team captured 132 German soldiers, wiped out several machine gun positions, and saved their entire regiment from annihilation. Back in America, York was hailed as a national hero. He received the Medal of Honor, the highest award for military valor. Despite his fame, York lived simply and avoided the spotlight. He said, "I only did what I had to do to save my boys." Alvin York, the Tennessee farm boy who became a legend of war, a man who proved that courage can come from the most unexpected places. And finally, we have the legend, Audie Murphy. Murphy was born in 1925 in Texas, into extreme poverty. His father abandoned the family, his mother died early, and he had to drop out of school in the 5th grade to take care of his 11 siblings. No one believed that this small, skinny boy would someday make history. He would go on to become one of the most decorated soldiers in the entire U.S. Army during World War II. For his unmatched bravery in combat, Murphy received every medal for valor the U.S. Army could award at the time, along with additional honors from France and Belgium. After Pearl Harbor, Murphy tried to enlist. The Navy and the Air Force rejected him for being underweight. Only the Army accepted him. And soon they discovered that behind his small frame was a will of iron. On the battlefield, Murphy quickly became a nightmare for German forces. He led assaults, destroyed machine gun nests, rescued his comrades, to the point where his commander said, "The kid doesn't know what fear is." In Colmar, France, Murphy's unit was overwhelmed by German tanks and infantry. His men were ordered to pull back. Murphy gave the command, "Everyone fall back. I'll hold the line." Alone, in the snowy field, facing more than 100 German soldiers, Murphy climbed onto the burning wreck of a tank destroyer, grabbed the .50 caliber machine gun mounted on top, and held off the enemy for nearly an hour. He called artillery fire on his own position, while bullets snapped past his face and smoke filled the air. The result? He single-handedly stopped the entire German assault, killing or wounding around 50 enemy soldiers and holding the line for his whole regiment. Murphy was awarded the Medal of Honor, the highest military decoration in the United States, becoming the most decorated American soldier of World War II. After the war, Murphy became an actor, but to Americans, he remains a symbol of courage. Audie Murphy, the small, quiet soldier who stood alone against an entire army. The stories of America's heroes are not just tales of legendary victories. They are proof of courage, unwavering spirit, and a burning love for their country. They stood up for their comrades, for freedom, and for the values we enjoy today. If you feel inspired by these legends, hit like and comment to share your gratitude. And don't forget to subscribe to explore even more stories of heroes who shaped the history of the United States.